if you look at review scores for the Super Mario Galaxy movie, it is currently sitting at, I want to say, a 46% audience score, or critic score, a 46% critic score, and potentially even lower than that. Meanwhile, the audience score for the Mario Galaxy movie is sitting at about like 91-ish. So much like the original Mario Galaxy movie, the original Mario movie, there is a very clear divide between critics and audiences. And so last week when we talked about the Super Mario Bros. Movie, I said it's not exactly a good movie, but I had fun with it. You know, it was a good, fun time. I think it was cohesive enough. It's basic, but it was, it was good enough. I had a good time. The Mario Galaxy movie has the exact same issue, but I think it's a little bit worse. They took what people loved about Galaxy and then put almost none of that into the movie. And we literally just got the Super Mario Bros. Movie again. And that kinda sucks, because I really like the Mario Galaxy story. Mario Galaxy, I would argue, has the best story of any Mario game. And the fact that we didn't get that in the movie is really fucking disappointing. Like, Nintendo truly had the chance to do something special here, and they completely squandered it. And that breaks my fucking heart in a way I can barely describe. Like, yeah, no shit, critics hate this movie. But, like, even as, again, my favorite 3D Mario game is Galaxy. I love Galaxy. And we got almost no Galaxy in the Super Mario Galaxy movie. So to that end, I was disappointed. The plot is paper thin. Like, in the first movie, I described the plot as basic. The hero's journey, hero saves princess from a dragon. That's it. The second one technically is doing that again. There is a hero who saves a princess from a dragon, and this one is more literal. Like, in the last one, the princess was Luigi. And this one, at least, it's an actual fucking princess. But the plot is paper thin. It is a series of scenes loosely connected together by a plot. So much so that entire scenes in this movie, a good chunk of this movie, could be completely removed and nothing would change. You know that thing where it's like, oh, if you remove Indiana Jones from Raiders of the Lost Ark, the story is exactly the same. I've always found that theory kind of dumb. Like, no, Indiana Jones does matter. Yes, without him, the Nazis still would have died on the island. But it's still, Indiana Jones still plays a part. The Mario Galaxy movie is that. If you removed Mario, Luigi, and Yoshi from this movie, the movie would more or less have played out the exact same way. And that's kind of disappointing for the Mario Galaxy movie. The fact that your main character, Mario, is so disposable is so disappointing. Oh my gosh. And yeah, there are entire scenes, entire montages that are just there to be like, oh, look at the cool fight scene. Look at the fun colors. And they contribute nothing. Like, we talk about filler. It is the definition of filler. Like, at least in, what some people refer to as filler, but it isn't filler, we still learn something about the characters. The characters still go through arcs. The Mario Galaxy movie has almost no character arcs. I mean, some characters grow a little bit, I guess, but for the most part, there are no character arcs. Like, at least in the original Mario movie was Mario having a crisis of faith. He had always been this sort of brave hero, But because of his struggles, he was doubting himself. Like, could he actually do it? And by the end of the movie, he's like, yes, I can do it. I can save Brooklyn as long as me and Luigi are together. This movie doesn't have that. Characters don't go through arcs. They don't change. I don't want to say this is like Ghostbusters, a movie about nothing, but this is probably the closest we've gotten to a movie about nothing since Ghostbusters. And at least Ghostbusters is good. This doesn't even have that compliment. Because, yeah, I mean, Peach has a little bit of change. Bowser has a little bit of change. But that's about it. Nobody else goes through any change. Nobody else deals with arcs or stories. There's a lot of references in the movie. Like, yeah, this movie, you know, I gave the first movie credit that it is a movie made by people who love the characters. Yes, that is still true. However, references do not make a good movie. If they did, then Ready Player One would be the greatest movie of all time. And guess what? Not only is that not true, but Ready Player One, the Steven Spielberg movie, might be better than this movie. Not by much, but it is, potentially. I don't know, I haven't seen it in a long time. But it kind of feels like it is. I don't know, literally that one's a little bit more soulless, but it at least had Steven Spielberg. This is definitely better than the book, Ready Player One. If you have never read the book, do not read the Ready Player One book. It's fucking terrible. It's everything bad about the movie and this, but times like 1,000. That book is unbearably bad. It is worse than the first one. Barely? Like, I'd say they're close, but this one just has more potential. You see the spark of more potential there. They're working with stronger source material, and we get almost none of that. The comparison I've landed on is that both Mario movies, Mario and Mario Galaxy, are like fireworks. They're big, colorful explosions. They're fun spectacles. But beneath the surface, they have no substance. They have no deeper meaning. They're fun, but that's about it. And once you see them, you'll never think about them again. And sure, people will record videos on their phones, but you will never watch that video again. You know, they've got a lot of fun music, but that's about it. There's no substance. They're the fireworks of movies. And I don't know about you, but I want a little bit more from my movies. Because, okay, one of the constant, defenses I've seen of this movie, and both criticism, to be fair, this defense has been very well criticized, is that this is just a kid's movie. That, it's fine if it's just dumb, fun colors, because it's just a kid's movie. But no, kids do deserve better. Because basically, everything that Pixar has done, a lot of stuff that DreamWorks has done, almost everything Sony has done in the past 10 years, give or take an Emoji Movie, is better than this. All these other studios are giving us high-quality kids' movies. Meanwhile, this is just shat out. This is nowhere... You can have a good, high-quality kids' movie that can be enjoyed by everyone, with a deep plot, with complex characters, that leaves the audience wanting more. And yet the Mario movie just doesn't do that. Now, I have seen some critics say that this is the worst movie of all time. That, there was one critic who said they had to put themselves in physical pain just to get through it. There was one critic, I want to say it was The Guardian, who said that this movie is worse than AI slop. I don't want to say that guy should be fired, because that's intense. That's a little too extreme. But if you think this movie made by humans is worse than something an AI could slop together, you should not be in this business. You should not be reviewing movies. Because despite this movie being bad, this movie was made by humans. There is a sense of love and care here that did not make a good movie, but you can feel that love and care. An AI could never do that. And saying that an AI could do better than this, go fuck yourself. I don't care that he hated the movie. I think he gave it 0 stars. Yeah, he has all the right to do so. I could see how somebody could fucking hate this movie. But saying that this is worse than AI slop, go fuck yourself. No wonder everybody hates critics. Usually I'm, more on... I don't want to say I'm more on the side of the critics. I think critics get too much shit, but sometimes they fucking deserve it. It's like people who ride bikes. Like, bike people are some of the most, fought against people who do fully deserve it sometimes. Because bike people can be fucking assholes. Sometimes, not always. But that's the other thing. There are, this may be a bad kids movie. There are far worse bad kids movies than this. Some people have never seen a bad movie in their lives, and it really shows. I have seen far worse kids movies than this. I mean, Norm of the North, the Emoji Movie, the Oogie Loves. All worse kids movies than this. What's that fucking Food Fight? There's another one, Food Fight. There are far worse kids movies than this. Yes, this one, at least is fun and heroic. Sure, that's less than bare minimum, but it's at least doing something. Those other movies do nothing. I would argue some of the Minions movies are worse than this. But no, for some critics, this is the death of cinema. Fuck right off. It's a bad movie. I get it. Some critics are just saying that because they want a catchy headline that'll get people to read their review. Because all that matters is the clicks. I fully understand that. You want to know my fancy little headline? It would be, if only Nintendo could bring the level of care they put into the video games into their movie. There you go. That's my thoughts. Because the Mario games have so much love, so much care, so much passion put into them. And you feel none of that in the movie. They feel like they're just kind of throwing together set pieces and action scenes that just do nothing. I understand, the original Mario game doesn't have much of a plot. A lot of Mario games, including the one we're playing right now, don't have much of a plot. But the excuse is that, hey, they don't have much of a plot because they're doing what video games do best, having fun gameplay. And the gameplay is top-notch, some of the best quality stuff. But that's not how it works in movies. In movies, you need a story. You need characters. And it feels like Nintendo just doesn't get that. They're treating it just like the games, and it's blowing up in their faces. Admittedly, it's selling very well. This is on track to be the best performing movie of the year, and I want to say it's already made $300 million. With all that said, it's a bad movie. It's got its flaws. I'd be lying if I said I didn't have fun. There are some fun moments. There are some decent set pieces. Not everything, but there are some good moments. This movie is filled with references. And sometimes I did really like those references. Sometimes they're fun references where I'm like, oh, that's cool, that's fun. Nintendo is able to capture fun in video games, and they're trying to do that for movies. And they do succeed. The movie's fun. It just comes at a terrible cost. And I really do wish they would sacrifice some of these, set pieces and explosions and references just to give us a little bit more plot, a little bit more character. I would happily give up a bunch of this stuff just for a little bit more character. But no, that's not how Nintendo does things. Because, yeah, this movie is a very clear love letter to Mario and the world that Mario has created and its characters. But that's it. It doesn't actually do anything more than that. Because I'd compare this to the Sonic movies. Because the Sonic movies, I would say the first Sonic movie started off a lot weaker than the Mario movies. Like, the Mario movies have a love and a respect for their character that the first Sonic movie just didn't have. But whereas the Sonic movies learned and grew with their sequels, the Mario movie just didn't. And sure, it respects its character, but it doesn't do anything more than that. It doesn't give the character anything to work with. It doesn't evolve the character. I would say it's disrespectful in a way that they're just not giving Mario anything to work with. The Sonic movies succeed where the Mario movies fail. The Sonic movies, they know when to slow down. They know when to let characters have their moments. They know when it's important to, advance the plot and give plot-relevant moments. They know when they can have sad moments, which the Mario movie does not know how to do. The Sonic movies, they do references really well. Because, yeah, they've got tons of references, but they don't overshadow their plot. The Sonic movie is not just references. Plot is equally as important, and when they find a chance to squeeze in some references, they squeeze in some references. The Mario movie doesn't. It puts references about everything else. The Sonic movies can also learn from their mistakes. Each Sonic movie gets a little bit better. Sonic 3, I would argue, is genuinely a good movie. I'd recommend the Sonic movies to anybody, because they learn from their mistakes, they improve, they show a love and respect for their character, while also being a good movie. It didn't start that way, but it eventually got there. The Mario movie doesn't. And it makes me worried, because obviously this movie's doing well. It's already potentially tripled its budget. I think it had like $110 million. It's already made $300 million. It's tripled its budget. It's made back its budget, it's made back its advertising budget, and then some. And that's all within 5 days. There's gonna be a third one. We know there's gonna be a Donkey Kong movie, allegedly. Yeah, I fully expect that. I would not be surprised if we get like a Luigi's Mansion movie. I worry about the Zelda movie. I know it's Sony doing that one instead of Illumination, but if Nintendo brings the same level to the Zelda movie that they do to the Mario movie, the Zelda movie's gonna fucking suck. And that one's in live action. They have, at least animation can rely on like the tropes of animation and can have like colorful, fun characters doing zany and wacky things. You can't do that in live action. I am so fucking concerned for that Zelda movie. I don't want to say there's no way the Zelda movie could be good, but I'm now insanely worried. The third Mario movie, I don't think stands a fucking chance. Nintendo would have to fucking pick themselves up by their bootstraps and basically reinvent the wheel to make the third Mario movie good. And the fact that this one made, again, $300 million in 5 days, they're not going to. Why would they? This movie's already this movie's done so well. And sure, it might be hurting Mario's brand image, and usually Nintendo very much gives a shit about that. Nintendo cares about Mario's brand image, and the same way like Disney cares about Mickey Mouse's brand image. But I also think just Nintendo doesn't care. That, we always talk about how greedy a company Nintendo is, and while I think the internet at large makes them out to be worse than they are still pretty greedy. And the fact that, a lot of people with the Switch 2 say that Nintendo doesn't have to learn anything from the Switch 2 because it's so successful. But us as Nintendo fans, we should demand better. And I see where they're coming from, and in some ways I do agree, but in some ways I feel like they're, grifters are gonna grift. The Mario movie is the same thing, but I feel like this one has a stronger case of like, yes, we should demand better from Nintendo. That just because this movie is doing well doesn't mean that they couldn't improve in the next one. And that the worst part is Galaxy is their best. Galaxy is the best Mario story. And now they've just kind of squandered it. Like, yeah, they could do the Super Mario Galaxy movie too, but they're not going to. We're going to move on to like Mario Odyssey or Mario World. And I'm worried about whatever that's going to be. I'm way less will I still see them? Of course I will. But that like hope that like, oh, by the next one they'll get better. No, I don't think that's happening. I think it's going to be the exact same shit. Just, you know, different packages. Which really sucks, because like I feel like there's so much potential for like Donkey Kong, especially if they want to adapt Donkey Kong Bonanza, which has a great story for a, you know, Mario spin-off, Mario adjacent thing. Donkey Kong Bonanza would lend itself great to a movie. And I feel like they're going to completely fuck that up somehow. So yes, I am concerned. But that's my thoughts on the movie. So I think last week for the Mario movie, I gave it like a 6 or a 7. Because again, it's bad, but I still had a good time. This one, I'm definitely worse on, but I don't think it's terrible either. I know in the video game industry, you know, the review scale in the video game industry, the lowest possible game score you will see is a 5 out of 10. Whereas, if we've seen anything from movie critics this past week, no, movie critics use the whole scale. They'll give a 0 out of 10, even though this is not a 0 out of 10 movie. That's fucking ludicrous. If I gave the first one like a 6 or a 7, this one's closer to a 5 or a 6. It is worse. There are still enjoyable elements. I still had fun. And I would say that, yes, score-wise, this is probably a 5 out of 10, but if you go to see this and you take your kids to see this, they will probably have a good time. There is like an 80% chance they will have a good time. Not everybody. I mean, I've heard some horror stories. I will say I went to this with a pretty packed audience filled with kids, and all the kids in my audience had a great time. They were having so much fun, but that's obviously not going to be everybody. So yeah, well, it's a 5 out of 10 movie. For, you know, taking a family to go see it, you're most likely going to have a good time, or at least your kids will. This is sadly an Illumination movie, so there's not much here for parents. I would say only take your kids to see this if you've already taken them to see Hoppers. If they have not seen Hoppers, go see that one first. That is a much better movie that is doing much more than this one is. That one actually has a plot and characters. I'd even recommend going to take your kids to see Project Hail Mary before this. They'll love Rocky. But this, I mean, I guess if you've seen those other two things, maybe go see this. Again, there are worse kids movies. There are also worse video game movies that came out this year. Everyone forgot about it immediately, but a Silent Hill movie came out this year. And that thing was genuinely awful. That was much closer to like a 1 or a 2 out of 10. That movie sucked. The Mario Galaxy isn't even the worst video game movie to come out this year. It's definitely not the best either. I'd still say Markiplier's Iron Lung is better. But do not take your kids to see that one. Oh my gosh. So yeah, that's my spoiler-free thoughts. I guess we're gonna get into spoilers now, so just be warned. Full spoilers ahead. I'm gonna kind of go into the whole kit and caboodle. So you have been warned. Full spoilers. If you don't want that, get out of here. So, the first big thing for me, Rosalina is barely in this movie. Now, I had this concern before the movie came out. You know, I'm a big Rosalina fan. We've been playing as her in this game for the past few weeks. She's maybe got at most like 10 minutes of screen time. And that sucks, because I really do like the character. And the fact that she's barely in the movie is bad. Because she is interesting, she is compelling. They do make one big change to her character. I don't think it's the end of the world. So the big change they make is that Rosalina and Peach are now sisters. So I know, like, a decade ago, maybe even longer than that, like 12 years, Matt Pat put out a video speculating that Peach and Rosalina were mother and daughter. That Peach is Rosalina's mother. That video was always bullshit. Like anything game theory does, Matt Pat just, it's a theory. So it's a lie. He's making his best guess, but it's a fucking lie. In hindsight, it's clear most of game theory stuff was bullshit. I think that one Dubis Goobus video where he talks about us with Sonic. Did Matt Pat lie to you? Yes, every Matt Pat video is a lie. Like, yeah, Peach was never the mother. Like, we've always known that. It's weird that Matt Pat, or at least, the people who replaced him, doubled down on that this week, despite the movie being wrong, but fucking whatever. Nobody watches game theory anymore. No shade to the new hosts. They're doing their jobs, but nobody cares anymore. So yeah, Peach and Rosalina are sisters. I think it's a fine change. I know some people are upset about it. The big one is the Rule 34 artists, because now, all of a sudden, all their Peach and Rosalina Yuri is now incest, which there was an artist on Twitter, I think their name's Starlit, and before seeing the movie, I saw them post on Twitter that was like hey, here's some Peach and Rosalina Yuri. I'll draw more when I get back from seeing the movie. And the comments are just all like, just wait. And then they got back and they just retweeted with like, what the fuck? This is just for the movie universe. The games, it's kind of like the FNAF movies. Like, they're similar, but they are different. Is the FNAF 2 movie better or worse than the Mario movie? I would probably say the FNAF 2 movie is worse. They both have a lot of issues, but at least I had fun with the Mario Galaxy movie, whereas the FNAF movie, I just didn't. Maybe. But yeah, no, I think Peach and Rosalina being sisters is a fine change. It does have some interesting implications. At the end of the spoiler section, we'll talk about my predictions for the future. But, I think it's a fine change. I do not think it's like too revolutionary. Again, there's always been some sort of speculation. I'm okay with this. Plus, this makes me hope that, because you get Brie Larson in this movie, and I think she does, again, all the voice cast is decent. Admittedly, some people, Childish Gambino, Brie Larson, Jack Black, are putting more into this movie than like Chris Pratt, who's barely, if not even doing a voice. But like, please bring Brie Larson back as Rosalina in the next one. Give her some actual screen time. She's too good in this just to throw her out completely. And it is disappointing she only got like 10 minutes. Another character who is in the movie but barely in the movie is Fox. Now, I think I said last week, since we knew Fox was in the movie, my thought was that he was going to get around 5 minutes of screen time. He got about 6.5. That's what I expected. I think that's a fine amount for Fox. He's there, he's a fun cameo, but he doesn't overstay his welcome. We found out from Miyamoto since then that I guess originally the idea for Fox was that they pitched it to Miyamoto, like Chris Meledandri and the others were like, hey, we'd like to put Fox in the movie. And Miyamoto was like, I don't know. We try to keep the Mario and all the Nintendo universes separate, except for like Pikmin and Smash Bros. So he took the idea back to the people at Nintendo, and they were all like, yeah, that actually sounds like a good idea. Yeah, let's go for it. So that's how Fox made it into the movie. And then Glenn Powell, who is the voice of Fox, is, I guess, a massive Star Fox fan. And kind of like how Childish Gambino reached out to play Yoshi in this movie, he reached out asking, hey, could he play Star Fox? Could they do a Star Fox movie? So we might potentially owe the Star Fox revival to Glenn Powell. Like, he might have single-handedly brought back the character, especially if the rumors are to be believed. Which, yeah, you know what? Star Fox earns a redemption. I do like his part in this movie. I think he's fun. I like how when they first set him up as, like, Mario's, like, rival, that, like, he's worried that, like, oh, Peach is gonna find him attractive. But then they almost immediately blow through that, and it's like, no, we're actually great friends now. It reminds me of, like, the Toms in Spider-Man No Way Home. It's fun. It's cute. We get Fox and the Lumas, and they're very cute together. I do like that scene of, like, the Lumas, like, getting, like, the Star Fox gear on. That was fun. But no, I think Fox's scenes are fun. It is references, but honestly, out of all the references, I don't think this one is bad at all. Admittedly, I do like to think in an alternate universe where they said no to the crossover, this would have been Lubba in the Starship Mario, which, okay, it maybe didn't have to be Starship Mario, I mean, it could have been. But I feel like that would have been better. Like, that would have been more on trend with Galaxy, is to get Lubba in here. But instead, we got this. Then you get Mario, Luigi, and Yoshi. And like I said earlier, Mario, Luigi, and Yoshi contribute nothing in this movie. Everything they do could be removed, and you would lose nothing. Because they get a lot of, like, set pieces and, like, action scenes that contribute nothing to the plot. So the basic plot, the, you know, paper-thin plot, is, hey, Bowser Jr. has kidnapped Rosalina. And one of the Lumas escapes and goes and tells Peach. And is like, please, Princess Peach, you know, Mama told us stories about you. Will you save our Mama? So Peach, you know, Peach and Toad run away to go save Rosalina, leaving Mario and Luigi and Yoshi and, yeah, Mario, Luigi, and Yoshi behind. Eventually, Peach makes her way to the Gateway Galaxy. From there, she goes down to Wart's Casino, where she interrogates Wart to find out where Bowser Jr. is. She then goes and hires a pilot. They go to the Space Junk Galaxy where Bowser Jr. is. There's a big action fight scene, and then Peach saves Rosalina. At no point was Mario and Luigi needed for any of that. And that's maybe the biggest problem in the movie, is that Mario could be removed from his own movie and you lose nothing. And that sucks. That really does suck. There are some good moments. Early on when we meet Yoshi, we get like a montage. Because if you remember at the end of the last movie, his egg was in New York. So we get a scene of Yoshi running around New York. You know, we see him go to the Punch-Out Pizzeria. In this flashback, we actually see Doc Lewis and Little Mac. Which, again, it's a blink and you'll miss it thing. That was a cute cameo. That, again, I think the montage is fine, but it doesn't contribute anything. We get to see Spike again. We see Donkey Kong. We find out Donkey Kong's been hanging out in New Donk City, or I guess New York, Brooklyn. I don't know. Again, I think they're setting up a Donkey Kong movie, and if this is how Donkey Kong meets a young Pauline, that's fine with me. But yeah, the Yoshi montage is, I think, fun. Eventually, he gets chased out of town. We get a montage of Mario and Luigi running the Mushroom Kingdom, which I did predict, by the way. I totally predicted this like 3 months ago, or whenever they released that trailer. Yeah, that montage is also, again, it's just colorful lights and fun scenes. You know, we get to see them use the different power-ups, but it really contributes nothing to the movie. I think it's okay, but it's not great either. The bad scenes are eventually they end up... So Bowser Jr. attacks, and he like lifts away the castle, but it crash lands on Honey Hive Galaxy. Or at least a version of it. And so, you know, eventually they deal with Bowser. We'll talk about it later. They meet the Honey Queen. The entire scene with the Honey Queen, them being stuck in Honey Hive Galaxy, contributes almost nothing to the plot. There's a reason why the Honey Queen wasn't in any of like the trailers or anything. Her scene in this movie is so fucking short. It is, for such a major character in the games, it is kind of disappointing. Okay, not major, but you know, she's at least got a little importance. She shows up multiple times. She was a racer in Mario Kart, for Christ's sake. At least once. The Honey Queen stuff sucks. It's just disappointing. Another scene that sucks, The dinosaur scene. So after Mario and Luigi and Peach and Toad and Star Fox, they get shot out of the sky by Bowser Jr., and Bowser Jr. turns them into babies. You know, and we've seen this in the trailer where they find the T-Rex from Mario Odyssey. That scene is so disappointing. You can remove that entire scene from the movie, and you lose nothing. The plot doesn't change at all. It is maybe the worst scene in the movie just because of how little it does. I don't think it's funny. I don't think it's that entertaining. It doesn't develop our characters. It doesn't change them anything. I was really disappointed by that. That scene, that scene should have been the first thing sacrificed to give us just like an ounce more plot. To just give us a little bit more. Oh my god. In the games, Mario and Peach aren't really allowed to, like, date. Like, even as recent as, like, last year, Nintendo has been like, yeah, Mario and Peach are friends, but their relationship isn't deeper than that. Like, yeah, occasionally Peach kisses Mario, but they're just good friends, you know, it's a friendly kiss. It's, you know how, like, Spider-Man isn't allowed to date, or Spider-Man is allowed to date Mary Jane, but he's not allowed to marry her. It's kind of the same thing with Mario and Peach. They're allowed to be friends, but they can't, you know, date or get married or anything. I will give the movie credit. There are multiple scenes where Mario is talking to Luigi and Yoshi about asking Peach out, if she'll be his girlfriend. The plot that could, you know, potentially be Mario's whole character arc, is, you know, him eventually by the end of the movie asking Peach out. But guess what? It doesn't, like, yeah, she kisses him at the end, but that's it. It doesn't go any farther than that. They just remain good friends by the end of the movie. There's a really awkward scene where when Mario and Peach get reunited, Peach goes in for a hug and Mario goes into a handshake, and it's just really fucking awkward. And yeah, the whole relationship thing, like, yes, they very clearly want to date each other, but they don't go that far. And it really sucks. Like, them officially dating, even if it's just in the movie universe, would be a good thing. But no, Nintendo always chickens out. I do like, though, when Luigi's like, yeah, ask Peach to be your girlfriend, and then ask if she has any friends that I could date. Because, you know, he's talking about Daisy. We'll get to the Daisy thing. But I think that's a cute moment. I do like that. The closest thing this movie does have to an actual character in an arc is Bowser, and Bowser Jr. So Bowser, you know, at the start of the movie, or at least early-ish on, he's on the path to redemption. You know, he's been living in Peach's castle as, like, a mini Bowser, and they're trying to, like, redeem him. You know, he's working on his demons. And eventually, you know, Bowser Jr. shows up, kidnaps the castle, but fails to save Bowser. So it's Bowser, Luigi, Mario, and Yoshi together. And eventually they make the decision to, like, make Bowser big again, as, you know, he's trying to redeem himself. I think the idea of Bowser getting a redemption arc is not a terrible idea. I like in the Mario RPGs how in at least half of them, Bowser is actually on Mario's side. Again, Paper Mario the Origami King is not an amazing game, but I like what it does with Bowser and how it kind of transitions Bowser. Like, he helps out Mario, but he's mainly doing it just for, like, because he wants to be a good influence on Bowser Jr. Again, I've said it for a long time now. I feel like since Mario Odyssey, Nintendo should move away from the whole Bowser's trying to kidnap Princess Peach thing, and instead focus on Bowser trying to steal MacGuffins to take over the world, so that way he can get Bowser Jr. into, like, a good school district or something. And there's only been, like, 2 Mario games since then. Neither of them involve stealing princesses, you know? And then there's this game where he's trying to steal the Sprixies. So I'm fine with them moving, you know, if Peach, Daisy, and Rosalina are playable characters alongside Mario, Luigi, and Toad in every future Mario game, I will consider that a victory. And just have every week, you know, Bowser goes after a different MacGuffin, Or maybe introduce some new villains and make Bowser playable. That could be interesting. But we'll see. But yeah, so we get Bowser's redemption arc. Meanwhile, he talks about Bowser Jr., that he's worried he was a bad dad, that he was absent for a lot of Bowser Jr.'s life, that he sent Bowser Jr. to boarding school, and he's worried that Bowser Jr. hates him. Because that's kind of the one thing about Bowser, is like, despite him being an evil guy who murders people and kidnaps princesses and assault and all that stuff, he is a good dad. Like, he genuinely cares about his son. And you do get that in this movie, that when Bowser Jr. reunites with his dad, after Bowser, like, sacrifices himself. Because he thinks, like, oh, he's gonna sacrifice himself and do a good thing, but he's saved by Jr. And then Jr., like, convinces him to do evil again. Which, I think that's okay. You know, Bowser trying to redeem himself, spending time with his son, and realizes, you know what, I actually like being evil. That's okay. It's not much of an arc, but it's more than Mario, Luigi, Peach, or Rosalina get. So I'll fucking give you that. It's the most arc any character has. Because Bowser Jr.'s whole thing is that basically when he was a kid, Bowser used to tell him these like elaborate like bedtime puppet stories about how they would kidnap Rosalina, create a Boomsday weapon, and destroy the universe. And so Bowser Jr. has made that a reality. He's created his own planet, he's created the Boomsday weapon, he's kidnapped Rosalina. And that's his big end goal, is to, destroy the Mushroom Kingdom. And he eventually convinces his dad to do so. Because at first, Bowser doesn't want to kill Mario and Luigi, and that's why they get turned into babies. But eventually he decides, like, protecting my son and protecting his dream is more important than, being friends with Mario and Luigi. And he goes full villain, and that's okay. It's the closest thing we get to something good in this movie. At least character or plot-wise. But eventually, all of our characters meet up at Space Junk Galaxy to fight Bowser and Bowser Jr. Toad, I realized this later on, Toad fucking disappears from the movie in the third act. Like, I understand them getting rid of Fox, okay? Fox is out distracting the Air Force. They don't need Fox or the Navy or whatever. But Toad also goes with Fox, and that's just kind of weird. I talk about how you can remove Mario and Luigi from this movie. You can also remove Toad from this movie. Toad does almost nothing. Like, Toad's biggest contribution is that he wears a penguin suit for one scene. In the lead up to, this final confrontation between Bowser Jr., and then Mario and Peach, they do like a trench run where they have to run past all these obstacles. But Bowser Jr. is controlling the obstacles with like an NES controller. And the one problem with the scene is that Mario and Peach use the 8-bit sprites, but all the obstacles and the backgrounds and everything use the 16-bit sprites. Like, they're merging game styles. Usually Nintendo is like really good at not doing that. I don't know how they fucked it up this time. But I still think the trench run scene is fun. And then after they get out of the trench, they come across Bowser on this bridge. And when I saw the bridge, I was like, holy shit, this is going to be World 1-1, isn't it? Or World 1-4. I was actually like really excited, like, oh my god, this is World 1-4. We get the bridge scene, Mario takes the axe, he cuts the bridge, Bowser falls into the lava. That was really fucking cool. I really did like that. Again, the movie can occasionally do spectacle. That's a good spectacle. Oh, so the bridge scene. So we get the bridge scene, and I thought that was so cool. Like, you talk about references, how not everything needs to be a reference, but sometimes it is fun putting references in there. And the bridge scene is a fun reference. Like, that's something from the games. It's like a sort of reference that the Sonic movies would do, when they had, like, the Death Egg in the second one. Like, that's a good, fun reference. The bridge scene is a good, fun reference. And then, while talking about it, Bowser mentions, like, oh, you're gonna see my Fury, Mario. And I was like, are we gonna see Fury Bowser in this? Because I could see us seeing Fury Bowser. Now, we do get Fury Bowser Jr., but no, we do not get Fury Bowser. I would not be surprised if in the next one we get Fury Bowser, because we also haven't seen the Mega Mushroom yet. So if we get Fury Bowser and the Mega Mushroom in the next one, I wouldn't be surprised. But no, instead we get Dry Bowser. I think Dry Bowser is a fine reference that, you know, if this movie had had a better plot and story, this could still be there, and I think it'd still be a fine reference. And we get this whole fight scene where we got, you know, Luigi has the Cloud Mushroom, Mario has the Drill Mushroom, and it's Fury Bowser Jr. and Dry Bowser. And it's an action scene. It does go places, which I do like. At one point, Luigi takes Bowser Jr.'s paintbrush and he draws something with it, and he makes Game & Watch. That's a cute reference, and you know, Game & Watch uses his Smash Bros. Moves, and he hits Bowser with the level 9 hammer. I wish it had popped up the 9 above the head, but other than that, I like the Game & Watch. I think the Rob scene was okay. You know, a lot of the third-party Nintendo references, like yes, Star Fox is given something to do. Rob, it's basically just the joke from Zootopia with the sloth. So it's the same joke. Samus's ship is in the background, but that's a background thing. We see the Pikmin ship, and it is to like scale, so it's like really small. That was cute. But yeah, you could have left all the Nintendo references, all the non-Mario references out of this movie, and I don't think you would have lost anything. I really don't. But yes, Game & Watch was a cute reference. Because, yeah, it was fun seeing him fight with his Smash Bros. Moveset. And then Bowser Jr. cuts him in half. Even though there is a dragon in Mario Galaxy, specifically Galaxy 2 has Gobblegut. Well, so Bowser Jr. uses his paintbrush to summon the Ruined Dragon. Again, it's a fine reference. But have we used up everything from Odyssey? Outside of going to, like, specific Odyssey kingdoms, we've used up the main plot from Odyssey, which is the marriage. We've used up the dragon. I feel like we've used up a lot of what Odyssey has to offer. And on one hand, I am kind of disappointed. You know, because if they call the next movie the Super Mario Odyssey movie, they've already used all of Mario Odyssey's main plot points. So, like, what else is there? Like, seriously, what else is there? I have no fucking idea. So, I'm not mad per se. I'm just kind of disappointed. But I do like that the Odyssey Dragon eats Bowser Jr. and Mario has to save him. They use that song, the Luigi, I just wanna touch you. They use that song, and that was all I could fucking think about. But no, I like, you know, because Bowser panics when he sees Junior get eaten. I like that Mario, you know, goes and saves him, and then that's it. You know, they're defeated. Meanwhile, Peach is able to save Rosalina, because they have this power when, like, their hands touch each other, it creates, like, life, like plants and whatnot. Which, okay, there's a scene early on in the movie, or you know, okay, maybe not early on, like, probably more than halfway, where we see how Peach and Rosalina got separated. That somebody was coming after them, and in order to keep Peach safe, Rosalina split them up. You know, she went one way, Peach went the other way. And that does make me wonder, who was coming after them? If they're gonna do another one, that's my assumption at what the third movie is going to be. Is that there's some sort of force beyond Bowser that wants to steal Rosalina and Peach's power. That's my guess. Afterwards, you know, everybody's saved. They go back to Peach's castle. It's not there anymore because it gets destroyed. And like everyone's like so disappointed. And they're like, let's build a new castle. So we get a quick like 8-bit castle building montage. And then we got the new castle. Mario puts the flag on it. He gets the kiss on the forehead or on the nose or whatever. And then the movie ends. Yeah, it just kind of ends. Again, no character arcs are wrapped up or anything. We don't really get a moment of Peach and Rosalina together to be sisters. It's what makes me hope that they bring Rosalina back in the next one, because now that Rosalina and Peach are sisters, that gives them a good excuse to be together in the next movie. You know, oh, Rosalina is coming back just to visit. So I hope they bring Brie Larson back, because she's, you know, she's good in this. And I hope we get a Star Fox movie and everything. Even though, again, I am kind of worried about if it's going to be good or not. Oh, I didn't talk about the Star Fox introduction scene that uses, like, a bunch of, like, 80s inspired, like, synth, you know, decor was fun. You know, learning how Fox got to the Mushroom Kingdom. I did like that. Fox was good in this movie. I'll say that. And if this launches 1,000 Star Fox fans, admittedly, I hope it's more than that, but... you know, it looks like we might be on Star Fox Revival. And if the Mario movie does that, good. Good. So our post-credit scene, we get two. The first post-credit scene was actually shown in one of the trailers. It's Luma Lee. Luma Lee is the prison guard, because Bowser and Bowser Jr. have been put in prison by Star Fox. You know, he takes them to jail. And then he goes off to go back to his universe, leaving Bowser and Bowser Jr. in jail. And while Bowser Jr. is trying to dig an escape hole, because, you know, Bowser's just bones, Luma Lee shows up and is like, you do not know the levels of suffering I have prepared for you. So that's the first post-credit scene. The second post-credit scene is Daisy. Because obviously we're going to get Daisy in the next one. Like, no shit. People like Daisy. There is going to be a third one. There's going to be a Donkey Kong movie. There's going to be a Luigi's Mansion movie. I hope Nintendo gets their shit together, but I don't expect them to get their shit together, sadly. I want it to happen, but if it doesn't, I sadly won't be surprised at this point. They broke my heart, because this is Mario Galaxy. Mario Galaxy is the fucking GOAT of games, and it's still the best 3D Mario game. But the movie should have that. It should have that level of love and respect. And I do kind of wish that we had gotten Mario World first, and then Galaxy. And Galaxy was like the climactic third one. But it is what it is. So what do I think the third one's going to be? So I do think we're going to get a Donkey Kong movie. That seems very obvious. You know, maybe it's Donkey Kong and an adult Pauline. Maybe because Pauline's in the first movie, not for very long, but, you know, maybe it's her. Maybe there's a kid, you know. I could see them doing stuff from Donkey Kong Bonanza. I do fully expect Donkey Kong Bonanza. You know, maybe it's Donkey, Diddy, Dixie, a few others with young Pauline. They go on a quest. They fight K. Rool. I could see them doing all that. So that's Donkey Kong. I do think we'd get a third Mario before we get a Luigi's Mansion. I do fully expect a Luigi's Mansion, but I think we get a third Mario. Like, I can see a Donkey Kong in the next, 2 years, and then Mario 3 and 3. So what do I want? Well, okay, here's the thing. Everything I say I want is on the assumption that the movie is good. Because there is a part of me that doesn't even want to suggest anything, because anything I suggest they will probably fuck up. But I'm going to suggest things anyways. So I think the obvious plot thread to go on is that evil, mysterious force that wanted to take Peach and Rosalina's power, it's back. And it's come to take their power once again. Maybe it succeeds and it takes their power, and now, you know, Peach and Rosalina have to go get it back. I've seen the obvious thing is Tatonga, the villain from, you know, Super Mario Land. I'll be honest, I think Tatonga is very boring. Like, I know, you know, they have Wart in this movie. You could remove Wart from this movie and you'd lose nothing. But, Tatonga is like a Wart. He's a very nothing villain. He doesn't really do anything. I don't think he should be a main antagonist. Instead, I'd much rather see them lean into the RPGs. You know, do Cackletta. Do the Shroobs. You know, an actual threat. Or do the best Mario villain ever, Count Bleck. That's what I would want. That Count Bleck is trying to... Because in Super Paper Mario, the game Count Bleck is from, he has Peach and Bowser get married because Peach and Bowser's marriage fulfills a prophecy that creates it's called the Dark Heart or something like that in the Prognosticus, in the Dark Prognosticus. So I think you do that. Maybe instead of Peach and Bowser getting married, he steals Peach's and Rosalina's power to fulfill the prophecy in the Dark Prognosticus that makes, the Dark Heart. So yeah, basically, have Count Bleck, and he fulfills the prophecy by stealing their power and creates the Dark Heart. This leaves Mario, Luigi, Yoshi, Peach, and Rosalina to go on a quest where they have to get the 7 light hearts or whatever the MacGuffin in Super Paper Mario is. And once they get that, they can save the world. And along the way, we meet Count Bleck's minions, Mimi, O'Chunks, Dimentio. Luigi gets kidnapped and turns into Mr. L. We meet Daisy, obviously, and Daisy and Luigi have a romance. Mario and Peach have more of a romance. Honestly, even just change the prophecy to, instead of Bowser and Peach get married, it's Mario and Peach get married. That'd be fun. They'd never do that, obviously. But yeah, make it... I could see them calling it Super Mario World. Or even Odyssey, maybe the movie starts with them going to Daisy's kingdom, and now they have to work their way back to the Mushroom Kingdom, and along the way, they're facing all these obstacles, we see different kingdoms, different places, like I said, Daisy shows up, Bowser and Bowser Jr. are back, Bowser's back to normal, they put him back in the soup that fixes him, and he's got one of the MacGuffins. If we're doing Super Mario Odyssey, in the Odyssey, the book, the poem, they go to hell, send Mario to hell. Because guess what? That's what happens in Super Paper Mario. Mario and Luigi get sent to hell. Admittedly, it's called The Underwear, but it'd be the same thing. Yeah, just fucking adapt Super Paper Mario. Obviously, you gotta change things a little bit. Early on, they meet Tippy. Tippy is, the little butterfly companion. That could be fun. There's a lot of potential for adapting Super Paper Mario. But I also don't want them to adapt Super Paper Mario, because I know they'll fuck it up. And I don't want to see them fuck it up. I want it to be done well. But, what are you gonna do? We know there's gonna be a third one. Obviously they haven't announced it yet, but give it a few weeks. I don't remember how long between the Mario movie coming out and the Mario Galaxy movie coming out, and, Mario Galaxy being announced. I know they didn't announce the Galaxy name for a while, but they definitely announced there was going to be a second one pretty quickly, and the fact that this movie has already, again, potentially tripled its budget is all the proof you need to know there's going to be a third one. And then I say after you do a third one with Daisy, then you do Luigi's Mansion. And Luigi's Mansion, it's Luigi and Daisy. And they're saving Mario and Peach, who have been kidnapped. And maybe maybe we get a new Luigi's Mansion game later this year, potentially, maybe next year, that has Luigi and Daisy working together. Maybe make her, a pivotal character. I don't know, that'd be cool. I have way more faith in the games than I do the movies at this point. But that's just me. And most other people. So yeah, those are my thoughts. I will probably see this movie again. Because, the first Mario movie I've seen a dozen times. Because while it is a flawed movie, I have a good time with it. I don't want to say it's a guilty pleasure. But I do have fun. And I do think this one's going to be the same way. If in a year's time, once it's out on DVD or Blu-ray or whatever, if I've seen it a bunch of times, I wouldn't be surprised. I'll tell you, I'm going to at least see it one more time in theaters. I am taking somebody else to go see it, maybe tomorrow. But yeah, I will see this movie at least one more time. But I'm not... I don't know. I think the first one is just... It's not super more solid, but it is more solid. It's got more of its shit together.